Hi guys, it's Sam from Game, and I'm here in a secret location in London with Thomas from Remedy Games, who are responsible for making Quantum Break. So we've got to play it today. It's incredible, just the way it looks, the gameplay, etc. For our audience out there who might have not heard about Quantum Break, can you kind of summarise Quantum Break in as short as possible, even though it is quite a complicated story?
So Quantum Break is brilliant. That's all you need to know. Quantum Break is a third-person cinematic action game at its heart. But we at Remedy make really strong, story-driven games. So story and characters are super, super important to us. So it's a very, very story-driven game. But having said that, the player actually does get to shape what happens in the game. And we also have a live action component in the game as well, which is pretty unique, but maybe we get into that a little bit later.
So the two main characters in the game, so we've got Sean Ashmore, who plays Jake Joyce, is that right? Jack Joyce, sorry. And then we've got Aidan Gillen.
Who was Paul Serene.
Okay. So how did they get involved in the project? Did you select them? Did they come to you guys? How was that? How did it come about?
So obviously we got very lucky with the quality of the actors. It was a discussion between our publisher Microsoft and Remedy, like who's available, obviously what can we afford, and availability. And the important thing to understand, of course, is that it's not about big marquee names. It's about the performance. And really because we can now bring the performance into the game. You can have the nuances of, you can see the wrinkles in the face and everything. So it's now important to have good actors to say the dialogue and you don't have to sort of, back in the day of Final Fantasy, it was exclamation mark, this is how you're feeling. And now it's literally, you don't have to say, you can see it from the characters' faces and all that. So we got lucky, and the awesome thing has been we spent a lot of time, especially with Sean Ashmore, like months and months. That all of our actors are actually really into the project. They're very excited about it, which is you don't always get that. So it's been definitely fun to work with them.
The live action sequences, then, as you've talked about before, they are triggered at the end of each act. Is that correct? And they are shaped by a short, brief mission beforehand in which you played a villain. Is that correct?
That is correct. So let me explain. So the way Quantum Break works is, the way we like to talk about it is that the game is about the heroes. The game is about Jack Joyce's story. The live action focuses on Paul Serene, the villain, and his company Monarch Solutions. So you actually experience both sides of the story, because villains tend to sort of, in games, you might see them in a couple of cutscenes and they're just like, oh, they're super bad, and that's all you need to know. But here, it's very important you spend a lot of time in both camps and learn more about Paul's motives. Yeah. The way this experience in the game works is you play the game, you play through an act of the game with Jack, and then at the end of the act, you get to the junction moment. The junction is a short playable sequence where you actually play as Paul. So you get to play the villain, you get to talk to his sort of people and learn what's been going on. And the story explains, it's a time travel story, and there's a time travel experiment that goes wrong. Do they ever go right? So Paul has the power to sort of see into the future. Okay. Based on that, he has to make a decision in the junction. There's always two decisions. You make the decision, that triggers a 20-minute live action episode that reflects the choice you as the player made, and that has long-lasting impact on the game as well. And if you want to skip the live action, you can. It's important to understand it's not just a cutscene, it's like a full 20-minute like network TV show kind of thing where you see what Paul is up to, and it does change depending on what the player has done. So there's 4 episodes in the game, there's 5 acts of the game, and there's 4 episodes, and there's about 40 variations of the episodes. A lot of the changes are very subtle, so you can find objects in the game that actually trigger an additional scene into the live action. But then through the junction, you have significant impact on the game as well as the live action, which I think is pretty cool and very unique.
In the main game, you have kind of 4 main abilities. Is that correct? So you've like time abilities, well, like one's a shield. 5. Okay. Can you talk to them a bit and explain which one, like what they are and what they do?
So as the story progresses and Jack is on his way to become a superhero, you learn these different time powers. So in the beginning of the game, without ruining too much, as the time travel experiment goes wrong, Jack gets caught in the blast of the experiment, and he starts manifesting these powers. So you have time shield, which you can generate a shield around you that deflects incoming fire. So it's pretty handy to like reload in there. Okay. If you trigger the shield next to an enemy, they will actually get like a kickback. Right. So you can then shotgun them to the face. Then you have time stop, which freezes time in like a focused area. That's a little bit, you can think of it as like a ranged attack, kind of like our grenade. Okay. So you trigger it, hits enemy or one or two, and they completely slow down. You can shoot them, and the bullets will stack up. And once the shield disappears, all the bullets hit them at the same time. So you can have a lot of fun with that, like freeze an exploding barrel and try to time that, or when enemies are like jumping down, freeze them in the air and then explode the barrel, and we have really good physics in there. Then you have time dodge and time rush, which allow you to move faster. So dodge is this quick sort of hop that you can do to quickly escape from danger. Yeah. And at the end of the dodge, if you hold down the left trigger, you actually go into like this bullet time slow-mo for a very brief time. I mean, we made Max Payne and really brought bullet time into games, so we have to have some of that in there. Yeah. So you can perform headshots easier that way. Then time rush allows you to run through like frozen time for a brief amount of time, yes, or maybe. And that you should know that also confuses the enemies. So it's like, where did Joyce go? So you can actually surprise them. So with time rush, you can end the time rush into a melee attack. And then we also have time vision, which is more traditional kind of thing where you can sort of see through walls. And there's fiction to explain why that works. So you can see like where you have like, let's say, explosives, and it's also very critical for finding hidden things. So the way you can customize your powers is by finding chronon sources in the levels, and you have to use time vision to look out for them. Yeah. So those are the powers, and all the powers do have like a cooldown, so you can't just spam them all the time. And later on, the enemies will have equipment to sort of counter your skills. So you're like, wait, what? Like early on, you can like just kill the enemies in a very satisfactory way, but then later on, like you will meet enemy types that can match your powers, and they will have equipment to sort of take away or lessen your powers. And it's a difficult balance because like you're a superhero, so you want players to feel powerful, but obviously you don't feel powerful. It's not a good gameplay experience if you're just able to like if it's too easy. So obviously we're not going to be too easy. So we spent a lot of time just to get the balance right. And we also have Time Blast, which is this really powerful, slow to recharge like attack that you can use, and that just picks up the debris and the objects around you and like creates this big explosion.
As I was going through the first part of the game, I noticed the attention to detail is insane, like mind-blowing. So there's you going through an office, there's stickers on the computers, there's notes on the wall. Every room's different. It's not just a copy and paste job like other games. Is there a team over at Remedy that are just the attention to detail team who kind of go through each level and just add these little things? Or
I think the attention to detail team is the whole of Remedy, really. And sometimes I look at some of these things like our elevators or something, even the screws are modeled and the scratches in the metal. I'm like, guys, nobody's ever gonna see that, but somebody spent a lot of time, spent a lot of time on that. And it's a little bit crazy that you spend so much time on these things, and most people will never ever see it. But there's so much, a lot of the notes. If you look around closely, there's a lot of humor in there. There's a lot of sort of references to other things we've done. I think the entire development team shows up there in the game. Like if you find this heavy metal poster, that's most of our engineering team because they all like metal. So like we're just going to spend a day doing this. Yeah. And it's quite funny when I play it and look at it. And you look at the emails, oh, that face looks familiar, and like I think most of the team is in the game in one way or another. But the attention to detail it's about the believability of the world. So even things like when you go into like Paul's laboratory or the research area, like there's a huge amount of detail. A lot of it is also backstory, and to give, it's not random. It's like the books Paul has on his table are like trying to explain his persona and his like drive more. So people think about, like Sam and the writing team and the creatives, they think a lot about that stuff. Like you want to use, instead of everything is always so, instead of us always telling you explicitly, it's more like if you look around, the environment should also be able to bring depth to the characters and just to the story itself.
Okay, so we've got a community question now, which is one that you guys sent in. So this is on Twitter. Someone's asked, is there a danger when having multiple storyline possibilities that will dilute your emotion and ability to share with friends? So say if I have an experience and a friend has an experience, do you feel that might impact people's ability to to share that experience together, or do you think the unique experiences are going to be standalone, they're going to be exciting enough for?
I think the fact that you can have a different experience in the game is like an awesome thing. So you can have a discussion. Oh, like you did it that way and I did it this way, and then you can go back and replay it. But like I've said, we have one ending in the game. That's important to know. But the way you can sort of get to that ending can be quite different. And what we hope that happens is that people who play through the game, like they talk about their experiences. Oh, I didn't know that can happen, and they said that, and then you just go back and replay it. So I think replay value always is a good thing.
We have another question from Twitter. So someone's asked, will I be able to go back and change choices to impact the storyline?
Yes, you can. So there's this fancy, nice timeline in the game that you can look at all the collectibles you might have missed, and you can also go back to the junction where you do make this sort of bigger, longer-lasting choice. You can go back there and replay that and then just take it from there. So you don't have to start from the very beginning.
Okay, we have another question via Twitter. So this is, what would you like Quantum Break to be remembered for?
That's a tough. Well, first of all, like hopefully people like the game, and it's something new. It's like a brand new IP. Like that's rare. You get to do something like that, and we tried to do something contemporary and something where we combine like a really good story and give the players ability to shape the story, and then obviously build that on top of like a really good action game. So hopefully people will like the story and the fact that we've tried to do something a bit different.
So can you tell our fans when Quantum Break is available?
Quantum Break will be out April 5th for Xbox One as well as Windows 10.
Okay, thank you. So thank you, Tom, for joining us. And guys, if you want to check out some more gameplay footage, you can go to our YouTube channel and there'll be some gameplay footage there.